You're probably expecting this to be a review of a typical Bentley, a big, brash, handcrafted Continental Grand Tourer that's so very British. But this isn't your typical Bentley. It's the Bentayga SUV, and it's more Snoop Dogg than Mozart, more rapper than aristocrat. In fact, it's more Audi than Bentley in some areas. The Bentayga uses the same platform as the Audi Q7. Go for the diesel and it borrows the Audi SQ7's V8 engine as well. Look really closely and you'll spot the stalks are taken straight out of an Audi. But to be perfectly honest, the types of people who can be buying a Bentayga have never heard of anything as common as an Audi, let alone have they sat in one. To them, the interior is typical Bentley. So there's the twin hoop design, the really deep and beautiful wood veneers and the sumptuous leather. And of course, that typical Bentley touch, the organ stop air ventilation controls. Under here, we've got a large cubby with two little charging ports and an aux in. We've got a couple of cup holders, a large tray there. The door bins, well, the Carbuyer Big Bottle test has been replaced by the Carbuyer Champagne test, but the Bentayga fails it. It also fails the Carbuyer Big Bottle test, which is a bit of a disappointment really, but the glove box is large enough for both of those, you'll be delighted to hear. They fit in there really very nicely. The quality in here though is something else. If you thought an Audi Q7 was well made, wait until you sit in the Bentley Bentayga. The only real gripe I've got in here is the infotainment system. I mean, the graphics just simply are not good enough for a car that costs over £130,000. Virtually every Bentayga will be unique thanks to a very wide options list. As a guide, there are over 110 paint shades on offer. You can choose from 15 different colours of leather upholstery and 8 wood veneers. And if you want to show off your wealth, you can even have a solid gold Breitling clock on the dash for £115,000. Aside from this though, basic equipment does include LED headlights with auto beam, sat-nav, 20-inch wheels and air suspension. There are also Onyx and top-spec Mulliner versions for the ultimate in Bentley luxury. Just like this car's big rival, the Range Rover, you can have the Bentayga with a 5-seat format with a big bench seat like we've got here, or with 2 individual seats back here with a large centre console. But we've got the more family-friendly version here. But unlike the Range Rover, you can have this as a 7-seater with 2 little seats in the boot. So what have we got then? Well, there's quite a lot of space. I mean, I've got tons and tons of knee room. Headroom is pretty good too. In this car, we've got quite a lot of optional extras. So we've got the Sunshine Pack, which has rear electric blinds that cost £1,600. We've got the picnic set with these veneered tables. That's another £1,600. And we've also got the rear seat entertainment pack, which is £5,500. So not only do you get a little screen down here that pops out, it's very neat, you obviously get these screens in front of you, which are also detachable. Storage wise, well, we've got some airline style pockets here and an armrest with a couple of cup holders. But I do have to say it does feel slightly claustrophobic back here. And that's mostly because of the high window line. And in this car, we've got black leather headliner. Now in a Range Rover, you do tend to sit up a little bit higher and the window line is lower, making it feel a little bit more spacious. No matter what you think to the styling of the Bentayga, you can't question the fact it looks pretty damn expensive, which is all the more reason why this windscreen wiper really annoys me. I mean, it looks like the type of thing you'd find on a VW Polo. Why it isn't hidden up there like it is on the Range Rover, goodness only knows. However, I've got sidetracked. Let's lift up the tailgate. Let me just throw my foot under there. That's a £685 option. if you really want to know, and it lifts up to reveal a very large boot. Now it is 100 litres smaller than you find on the Range Rover, but nevertheless it is of a large and square shape. Under here we've got a space-saver spare wheel and a little cubby there for some little oddments. Let's grab the Carbuyer large suitcases, put that one up there, the middle-sized one and the smaller one, and you'll see there is an awful lot of space. Now if you go for the 5-seater version of the Bentayga, like we've got here, you can drop the seats and it's quite straightforward. There's a little handle there, and let's run round to the other side and drop this one. And there we go. The only real problem is the fact that you don't have a completely flat loading area, but it does increase the boot volume quite considerably. Now, unsurprisingly, with the Bentayga, there are a number of options available in the boot. One of the cheapest is the first aid and warning triangle kit. That's £105. Now, if you want to be completely extravagant, Bentley will sell you a hamper, but of course it's not any normal hamper. It's got 3 compartments. The first compartment has crystal glasses. The second compartment has silver cutlery and bone china plates and saucers. And the third compartment has a pure cashmere blanket. And the price? £21,000. Under that massive bonnet, you'll find a 6-litre W12 powerhouse packing 600 brake horsepower. Or, if you don't like visiting petrol stations quite so often, there's the 4-litre supercharged and twin turbocharged V8 diesel. Now, I know Bentley traditionalists will shriek at the idea of there not only being a diesel engine on offer in a Bentley, but the diesel engine in question is an Audi diesel. But in many ways, the V8 diesel is better than the W12 petrol. You see, it's got the same amount of torque, 900 Newton meters, and it comes in at 1000 RPM. With the W12, it comes in at 1500 RPM. So it means the V8 is more willing to accelerate. And if you prod the throttle, this thing hunkers down and absolutely flies. And it really does fly. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 4.6 seconds. Flat out, you'll be nudging 170 miles an hour. Go for the W12 and you'll be covering 0 to 62 in 4.1 before hitting 187 miles an hour. Both engines are mated to an 8-speed automatic gearbox and 4-wheel drive. I don't think you've got a rattly old diesel engine up front, because Bentley wanted this V8 to sound like a Bentley. So that means they wanted to make it sound quiet, and they really have done a very good job. Now, in the engine bay of the V8 diesel, there's more sound insulation than you find in the W12. So it means this thing is absolutely, well, it's eerily quiet. It's quieter than the W12, and you really wouldn't think there's a diesel engine up there. It's quite astonishing. The steering isn't the most direct, but it's good enough for a car of this size, but the brakes do have a tendency to fade if you drive with too much enthusiasm. The different driving modes really change the way the Bentayga drives on and off the road. But the most amazing thing about the Bentayga is how agile it feels. Now, don't forget, this is a 2.6-ton cathedral, and yet it laps up corners. Now, Bentley haven't fitted rock-hard suspension to make this thing go round corners. They've just fitted normal air suspension, and yet the whole body doesn't roll around at all. In actual fact, I think on the road this rides better than a Range Rover, and that is some compliment. The other thing about the Bentayga is how it makes you feel. Now, in a Range Rover, you sit up higher, the window line is lower, and you feel as though you're sitting on a throne and you're lording it over other motorists. But in this, you feel as though you sit lower, the window line is higher up. You feel cocooned. You feel as though you're in a Continental GT that's just a little bit higher off the road. That doesn't mean the Bentayga can't go off-road. You may not feel as invincible as you do in a Range Rover, but thanks to different off-road modes and suspension that can raise up, the Bentayga isn't fazed by getting dirty. But the reality is the Bentayga is hardly ever going to get muddy. It's more likely to be seen cruising around upmarket London boroughs than it is climbing Mount Snowdon. And I don't know about you, but the Bentayga doesn't have the grace or the dignity of a Range Rover. Put it this way, the Queen doesn't drive a Bentley Bentayga. But there's no question of the Bentayga being anything other than a great ultra premium SUV. Like it or loathe it, it's a seriously impressive car. If you like this video, check out our Range Rover review and our SUVs playlist, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel by pressing the Carbuyer logo.
It's not doing it, is it? Ow! Oh!